All right, so we'd like to welcome Nina Jung. Thank you for carving out some time to be with us today. And I think it's so great, Nina, that you're using your experience, your knowledge to help a very unique demographic of people, and that is specifically females, women, and helping them to kind of navigate this journey of what health and wellness means over a long period of time, and to make sure that they are staying within the realms of balancing their hormones. And I think that's such a fantastic approach to fitness, especially for the CrossFit audience, people that are constantly used to high intensity exercise, and maybe not even CrossFit, but just if they've been athletes growing up and being exposed to that kind of culture and that community. So can you tell us a little bit first about your background? Who is Nina Jung?
Well, hi guys. So yeah, my name is Nina. So who am I really? I'm an acupuncturist and a strength coach. And also I'm just really passionate. I'm a bit intense and a bit on that woo side because I've also studied obviously Chinese medicine. But I'm trying to like integrate everything to sort of bring that to people that are looking to balance both that intensity and finding that sort of inner kind of calm and growth. So my background, obviously I started, we were just talking about this before, but I started in CrossFit in 2012, just as a member. And, you know, I grew up dancing, but didn't really have much of an athletic background. So CrossFit really was my sport. And so I got in deep, became, you know, obsessed and learning everything about the ins and outs about the movement. And then from there, it sort of was an inner journey to figure out who I was as a person. I was going through a lot in my personal life, and just it kind of showed up in physically with, you know, me feeling inflamed, being bloated, kind of being fatigued all the time. And so having said that, I wasn't really recovering that well. So I ended up going to see an acupuncturist, and that sort of, it actually just blew my mind. I couldn't believe the ability of my body to actually stay still. And then after that, I felt amazing. And so it actually made my workouts even better. And so I was like, okay, what is this kind of Eastern medicine thing? So then I dove in deep with that. And so now I'm kind of coming out of that, combining how can we create intensity, but then at the same time, have enough recovery to feel good in our bodies. And therefore, you know, most people, what they kind of want is to look good, but really what we want is to feel good in our bodies. And the physical manifestation of that is, you know, looking good.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense, because I've heard people kind of coin it this way, is that intensity is a skill. You have to know when to turn it on and how to use it effectively for whatever purpose you feel is appropriate for you. But it's finite, right? It's a resource that our body has the ability to use, but there's only so much of it. And like you mentioned, there needs to be a period of recovery so that you are still staying healthy, right? Intensity doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It doesn't just happen in that 10-minute workout or that 1-hour workout session. It's going to affect you throughout the day, throughout a few days, throughout a week. And it can have those kinds of effects, especially negative ones, if we're not paying attention to it. So I think that's a really cool approach that you have of kind of siloing out recovery and making sure that that's really being addressed, especially for those that come from this background of high intensity sports or physical activities. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is your recovery project?
Well, basically, just like I was saying before, okay, you're gonna cut this out, right? Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, let me just, okay, sorry. Like I was saying before, the recovery project is really kind of taking somebody through a transformation from going from physical health, because, you know, I really believe if you have your physical health, then that's going to then change your emotional and your internal health. So without both, you're kind of at one end of the spectrum. So your recovery project is that your journey towards that, and you can come at different angles, either physical medicine or, you know, that internal medicine, but it really is for that person or for anybody, or for the person to get better, really, and feel balanced and feel confident in who they are.
Can you define what is internal health? What does that mean?
Yeah, so internal health to me means, that connection between mind and body, because,
Mm.
all of us know how our body feels, but really it's what's going on the inside. So that could be anything from your hormones, it could be your digestive system, it could be your immune system. It really is all the different systems kind of connecting as one.
Got
And
it.
I find that most people don't even understand what their actual bodies physically in space are doing. But then if you can't figure that out, or if you're still lost there, then it's really
Mhm.
hard to actually listen to your body. And
Yeah,
so that's sort of the journey that I want to take people on.
that's awesome. So getting in tune with your internal health and kind of
Yes.
deciphering, what does it feel like? What does it sound like? What is it making you respond? How is it making you respond? That's really
Yeah. And
cool.
then especially with women too, because, our cycle, or like our periods or our menstruation,
Hmm.
however people feel comfortable talking about it,
Hmm.
really is that like fifth vital sign. It really, every month, it's giving you an indication how well is my internal health doing for the next month.
Hmm.
And so for women, especially in the Bay Area, they're always on the go. They're doing totally a lot of things, which is great. We have some really badass women here, but we're
Hmm.
not always in tune to that. And then that leads to other consequences or other health issues that then they're like, okay, I don't feel good. I feel bloated, or
Hmm.
I want to get pregnant later. I'm not thinking about that now, but there are these measures that you can, kind of measure yourself against to know, okay, where am I going with my health? And so that's why I think, especially with women, balancing your hormones or regulating them is really a way to be even more productive in your life, and
Hmm.
more effective, actually.
I love that. That's a
Yeah.
very unique approach.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about the process? So if there is a woman that wants to reach out to you,
Hmm.
and so how does their journey begin, and what are some of the stages that they go through so that they know, compared to when they started, to a certain timeline, whatever whenever that is, that they are actually improving their internal and hormonal health?
Yeah. So, I mean, with every woman, it's different, but let's say they were coming in with a specific condition. So, if they
Mm.
had specific um, menstrual um, condition, like for example, if they were coming in for like endometriosis, which is super common, unfortunately, in this day and age. So, if they're coming in for that, we're going to take a look at that, going through their patterns, learning about their history. And then from there, I would begin, you know, prescribing probably nutrition and acupuncture prescriptions and treatment plans for that specifically, but through there, taking them through the pillars of, okay, let's look at your physical movement, let's look at your digestive health, and then treating the actual issue at hand. But again, and then it takes about, and that's a great thing because you have a period every month, hopefully, it takes about, I think, 3 cycles to really notice the difference. But
Mm.
within the first, month or whatnot, there's going to be other things that you'll notice, like your moods,
Mhm.
just your energy levels. So all those subjective measures.
Mm.
But again, that's why it's not like a quick fix. It really does take time. But I think those 3 pillars, it really is movement, your digestion, and then your hormones. If we can kind of look at those 3 bigger picture items, then those little things will, fix itself,
Mhm.
hopefully, as we
Mhm.
progress.
Very well said.
Yeah.
That sounds very promising for the people that, especially females, that might feel that they are kind of stuck, and they might just feel like this is just the way it's going to be, and I hope it kind of figures itself out. But what you're saying is that there is a process, especially
Mhm.
with the your recovery project that you're working with, is that you can help these individuals to really get in tune with their bodies, with their hormones, so that they can see light at the end of the tunnel and know that they can get to a better place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, feeling fine is okay. I was actually listening to, actually funny enough, Meghan Markle, because I do love the royals. And she was saying, it's not enough to just to survive. You want to thrive. So even with,
Love that.
we're so used to being like, okay, yeah, I get period pain or I get super PMSy. Like
Hmm.
that's not really normal for you, because then other people are subjecting you to be like, oh, she's getting a period. She's kind of going crazy. Well, you're not. Your body's telling you something. So it's up to us to be like, okay, let me take action and let me do something about it, because I want to empower myself, because you can use your cycle to your advantage. Really, that's our advantage, you know? And so people think, oh, it's really woo, or we don't like talking about our periods. It's kind of like taboo. But, you know, I think women should be talking about it. It should be more out in the open. You know, I talk to a lot of women. They're like, ooh, I don't want to talk about my own period. And I'm like, why? It's a normal thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you're bringing that to surface and creating some more comfort around being voicing some of those concerns and ways that you can help them. Can you talk to some of the benefits that your current clients and the audience that you're helping? What are some ways that they're benefiting from working with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, going through the process, like in terms of like my clients, like after, like a lot of them notice, like even just when we start with, for example, with physical movement, they're kind of noticing, okay, this movement is actually so if they're coming in with a condition of like, I get really painful PMS or painful periods, we do certain movements that helps alleviate that pain. So just even there, they're feeling better with the movement, they're getting better physically, and then it has internal impacts. So that's like one way. Or if, for example, like somebody with amenorrhea, like you're not getting your periods because we're dieting, or, you know, you're trying to get that 6-pack. I've been there. I've tried that too. So you don't get your period. And so that's a problem, because now there's going to be like aftermath effects that might not appear within the first month, but within the after 3 months, you're going to start to feel, you know, fatigue, low energy. You're kind of like burning at both candles. So in that case, we take it from, okay, what are you eating? Let's look at some of the supplements, or just getting more good quality whole dense food into your diet. And so then they get their period, they're feeling more energetic, they actually get the 6-pack, and they're getting their periods. So it's a win-win. So those are the kind of things that I'm finding that like my clients are actually finding. And there's a way to measure that, because you see it every month, really, if you get it or you don't. So for us, it's a way to, you know, we love it in CrossFit to measure our results, and that's how we're doing it, really.
That is amazing that you're able to accomplish all that. Very, very cool.
It's a really fun journey. And I think women, you feel more empowered. You're like, oh, I'm taking note. I'm feeling good. Like, I'm feeling good, and I can take on more or less, and I know when to do that. So they're just more in tune with their bodies, which, you know, has like a cumulative effect. Then, you know, you're taking care of yourself. You can say no to people or say yes to people. You can take on more projects or not take on more projects. So you're more in tune with all that. So that's really my goal. I want to make people more productive and effective.
That's awesome. And with that empowerment comes you being in control, right? Puts you back in the driver's seat of being able to kind of live the life that you want, and to live that very best version of life. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think it allows like everyone, or specifically these women, to sort of adapt and being able to handle the change. Because, you know, especially with COVID now too, things are like really chaotic, and it might not seem like it because your day-to-day life has not changed, but there's like that air of like anxiety, or that air of change. And, you know, you knowing your body, you're able to physically, like, you can move and adapt to that, but like mentally and internally, your actual physiology is more well equipped to adapt to that, right? Because if we're not anything, we're all cells. So literally they can adapt and do whatever it takes to sort of adapt to what's happening in the world.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So speaking about the COVID-19 situation, the crisis, and kind of this global pandemic that we're all feeling the negative effects of, how have you uniquely continued to service your current clients? And are there any unique pivots that you've had to make with your business as far as making sure that you're taking care of your people?
Yeah, I think the major pivot has been kind of doing it more virtually. So because, you know, I like, in acupuncture specifically, there is that physical element of touching and therapeutic touch. So I'm not able to do that, but I think, you know, just the way I pivoted is just by having conversations online, because I think people just want you to know that you're there. And it allows to grow that community in that way. And also it's accountability. So you can check in and just have somebody to talk to, because this is better than, sitting at home and not talking to anybody, which can happen in this kind of situation, especially if you're living alone or whatever.
Right, exactly. So there's this thing about we need to have social distancing, but we should not be socially isolating ourselves into these silos and just being by ourselves. And I think that's so wonderful that you're creating this line of communication with your clients so that they have someone to depend on, or for guidance, or even just having a conversation so that they can feel connected to working with a fitness professional like yourself. I think that's an excellent resource that if we can, we should be extending that out to not just our clients, but to the communities and audiences that we're in front of. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And like you were saying, I really appreciated that was just kind of giving out or having knowledge out there that people can actually take and sort of implement kind of daily. Which I think is super important, because there's so much noise, like you were saying, out there, but to have, some things that actually can help someone is like the biggest thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something we're all being really conscious of now, is whatever goes out into the world, does it hold value? And not value with an agenda, but just purely to benefit our communities. And I think that's where the importance lies.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Awesome. So Nina, thank you so much for explaining this wonderful project that you're taking the lead in. And if people want to work with you, how can they get connected with you?
If they want to work with me, if you just go on my Instagram, I'm sure you will put it somewhere. But yeah, there's just like a link if you want to book a virtual consult, or if you just want any information, I put all my content out there for everyone, just if you want to learn more about your body or more about your hormones. So that's really the main way to get in contact with me.
Awesome. Cool. So I'll make sure that I have your Instagram name readily available for people to get a hold of you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. So any parting words, Nina, as far as your mission and the vision that you see for the current demographic that you're helping, and as far as, what does the future look like for the people that you're helping?
I think just generally, I think, with COVID, our new normal is kind of this. And I think moving forward, like our new normal is going to change. I think there's going to be definitely more virtual stuff and more time actually for self-care. And I think that's sort of what I want to tell the women, or even the men out there, or whoever, trans, that really you should be just taking care of yourself, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the fitness space, they can be thankful for people like you that are really carving out this unique approach to longevity in health and wellness. So thank you, Nina, so much. And I look forward to hearing more about your success stories, and hopefully doing this again soon.
Yeah, that's be fun. Thanks.
Thanks.